Hello, chat. How are you guys doing tonight? Welcome. Welcome. So we are going to do... Why does my shirt look like it's... There. Jeez. It's like garbage. Yes, more like Karen Sneed. Well, yes. This is a little different tonight. This is Karen Reed, but it's a civil lawsuit. Now, I know we've gone through those before, but this will address some interesting things. And it does cause some issues because Karen Reed's criminal trial is still going to happen. She's still set. The prosecutors have not dropped the case. We don't know what's going to happen yet. While we're watching Rangs, lower them rangs, the rings of power. Yeah. Yes. But this is going to be an interesting thing for Karen Reed. This is going to be very, very, very unique. And it's, I think, something we actually haven't had to talk about yet. Liability for bars and restaurants in regard to somebody who's alleged to have committed a tort via OVI or drunk driving. And Luke says there has been a plenty of Karen Reed and related updates in the past week alone. Yes, there have. If you guys have been following it, the Sandra Birchmore murder, the federal government has indicted one of the police officers involved in that for murdering her. So is that tangentially related to Karen Reed? Yes, because some of the investigators involved in that were completely incompetent and fucked that up. And they're part of the Karen Reed case as well. So it'll be very interesting. It will be very interesting. No mandates. Says, if I was the defense team, I'd bar all the O'Keefe's team, the O'Keefe's from being a trial based on intimidation. That a possibility? No. Sorry, that was all stroke mouth there. Victims' rights laws, they're going to have the right to be there. The fact they filed a lawsuit doesn't affect the criminal case. To argue they're all intimidating Karen, I don't think it'll go very far. I really don't think it'll do anything at that point. They're not going to do it there. Haven King says, can she sue him? And I'm assuming you mean Karen Reed, sue John O'Keefe's estate and John O'Keefe's brother if it's found that he's doing it to interfere with the criminal case. No, because you don't really have the you're maybe inflicting emotional distress, harassment, maybe, but you're not really probably going to get anywhere out of that. So no, she's better off spending her money on attorneys and kicking ass at this next criminal case. That's where she's far better off at. She is far better off dealing with that. So here we go, guys. Luke, you bring up a good point. Yes, the Dram Shop Acts and the issues with the OVI was brought up in the Murdaugh case because one of the Murdaugh boys apparently was just like, pulled basically, you're not my dad, I'll do what I want, and drove a boat right into a concrete piling and killed a bunch of people. And that was one of the ongoing issues with the Murdaugh family. I forgot about that one. I forgot about her. SB Sellers says they depose her. It affects her right to shut the fuck up on a criminal case, though. I will get to that. We will get to that, okay? Don't you worry about that. We're going to address those issues. There's a bunch of issues there. All the Karen Reed defense team. There's going to be a whole bunch of issues there. There are going to be a whole bunch of issues that we can address. And save this one for later. We're going to pin that, okay? And then Egregiously Darkly says, did you see April's Zoom from Nick's basement? Yes, I'm going to talk about that tomorrow on the Thursday night show. If you guys are new, we do a weekly show every Thursday night at 9:30 p.m. Eastern time. Eastern time in America, not Australian Eastern time, not Chinese Eastern time, Eastern Standard Time. You join us there, guys. We've got a lot to talk about. There's a lot that's happened in the past couple of days. There have been some updates in the Breonna Taylor case. San Francisco has had to dismiss a bunch of crimes, as they like to claim, on a technicality, being a statute of limitations, a speedy trial rights. The Telegram, the founder of Telegram, has been arrested in France for, well, being a meanie. The sheriff from the original 60 Days In is going to prison, and it's actually very hilarious what he's done and the amount of things he did that's going to send him to prison. The Trump case in Florida is getting appealed. Robert Tellis was convicted today of murder and sentenced. The Florida man, Wade Phillips, the guy who's got all like the monster tattoos and the swastika on his face and the skull tat, he was sentenced to death. We're going to cover that. And then there's also obviously what happened with our boy Nick, which once again, when you're trying to convince everybody April's just a friend, why is that friend still at your house using your fucking internet equipment? Why couldn't she just use a fucking cell phone? I'm just saying. That kind of, what do I know? What do I know? And then the last thing, no, I mean, that's a bunch of things we're going to talk about. I'm not going to talk to them all. We're not going to go through them all, but that's tomorrow night at 9:30. There's a lot there. It's going to be a lot of fun. Hope to see you guys there. Hope to see you there. Yes. Yes, Trooper Guarino. That's his name. Yes, he worked for the district attorney's office, too, doing work. Missed 32,000 text messages that he couldn't get. Yes. Karen Boone, there was a motion to dismiss. Yes, there was. And it wasn't filed by Karen Boone, or Sarah Boone. Karen Boone. Karen Boone killed somebody. She hit him with a suitcase going 25 miles an hour. There's broken glass on the suitcase now. Oh, that would be an amazing kit bash of a murder. Karen Boone. Oh my gosh. Yes. Sarah Boone filed a motion to dismiss that Sarah Boone didn't file herself. It was weird. It was weird to see. I saw it today and I'm like, what? Huh? And really, this is more of a warning for you normies. Normies, get out. Normies, get out. Because normies, get out. Get out of the way of cases. Yes, Wade Wilson, he's basically Deadpool, but less cool. Koberger has a change of venue motion tomorrow, yet he's probably going to lose. But Sean, the thruple. Yes, I know. The poor. Got to think of the thruple, guys. It's so important. It's so important. Anyways, we are going to get started here. We've been here about 10 minutes. It's time to hit the road. Karen Reed has been sued civilly, guys. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, what does that mean and what does it really matter? Well, what you can do with a civil lawsuit is kind of what's important here. So she has been sued by multiple parties here. And this is where we're going to take our time and go through it because it's not bad. You got to have to take your time and wrap your head around things here. So this is a lawsuit that's filed in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts in Plymouth County, which, I guess they're commemorating the rock there. Why I can't get this the right color. There we go. That's the color I want. All right. So it's multiple things here. Now, the first thing being sued is Paul O'Keefe. And you guys remember, he is Karen Reed's brother. If you guys don't remember Paul is the bald guy who sat there every day in court going, Karen Reed, like a nice sling blade. If you guys don't remember, this is Paul O'Keefe right here. Hey guys, this is him all in his glory. And here, actually, this will be a bigger. This is Paul O'Keefe every time. Just sitting there staring, going, every time. Every time staring at Karen Reed. In fact, this is actually a really good picture of it. This is hilarious. Just every time. Like sling blade. Gotta get them on my fries. So that's Paul O'Keefe. And before we get too far, we do need to acknowledge this. Stephen Cooper dropping for 50 sobs. Stephen, thank you very much. Let's fucking go, chat. We're going to go for a good portion of the night. Not all night, but we're going to go long and hard. We're going to go deep. Thank you, Stephen. Oh, hold on, chat. We need to apparently there's a fight. We need to see. We need to my glorious producer has informed me that there's a fight going on.
Has to deal with something that is obviously illegal. And so if Nick's, let's say for instance, if Nick's guns were somewhere where it wasn't were somewhere where it wasn't obvious, it was locked up, it was somewhere where the cops had to go this extra mile to go find them, then yes, you can make the argument. But if they're in plain view in the search area and they say well, you got cocaine here, well, you got guns. You can't have guns with cocaine. The guns now are illegal because you have cocaine there. So yes, you have, and the key point to this is that you have probable cause that a crime has been committed. You have guns with cocaine. The probable cause is that you see it. You're in the house with it. You see it as the cop. That gives you probable cause to seize the cocaine and to seize the guns.
To my understanding of probable causes,
I thought they were fighting. All right, hold on real quick. I gotta let you guys see something here. I thought they were fighting. Come on.
I mean, it sounds as if you're treating the probable cause of this additional crime as in and of itself a warrant. And I don't know. I haven't researched the law. I don't know. So what I'm saying is, it sounds as if why it's once you have probable cause, why do you need a warrant? You have probable cause.
So this is all right. So this is all right. So just to let you understand how it works, the Fourth Amendment guarantees you rights from.
You're saying once they're in there, but let me. I understood what you were saying. That you're saying the probable cause plus a warrant that they opens up license for a warrant on everything.
Hold on. What you're saying is
no, Joe.
Why don't you need a warrant for everything, right? Because technically. Yeah. Every arrest, most like 90% of the arrests, any police officers in the chat is going to tell you 99% of the arrests they make are warrantless arrests. Right. They're seizing people without warrants, but the Constitution says
let's see here.
You need a warrant to make that arrest.
Yeah.
So how do you overcome that, right? Millions of people are being arrested without warrants all the time. That's because the warrant requirements is a requirement to go to a judicial officer and you can get arrest warrant.
Oh, I thought but 2.0 said they were fighting, Chad. It sounds like they're not fighting.
Through other means. So you don't have to go to a judge and say, here's my proof of probable cause. Probable cause can be apparent. So for instance, if I'm
all right, Chad, we're gonna go back to this.
Shoot someone.
Sorry, I thought there was I was told there was a fight. We'll go back to that if it happens later. We'll go back to it if it happens later. But I thought we were gonna have some I thought we were going to have some fight. Because every once in a while, Joe and Nate, they have a good tussle. Green Cap says, you're glad 2.0 saw my message. Yes. 2.0 is always paying attention. She's always observant. She has to be. She's my Fed handler. So, yeah. Anyway, so we have John O'Keefe, guys. Let's get back to this. John O'Keefe, as the personal representative of the estate of John Joseph O'Keefe III. Now, primarily, first and foremost, he is suing on behalf of John O'Keefe's estate. That's the primary thing here because John O'Keefe would presumably be filing a lawsuit against Karen Reed saying, bitch, you killed me. Well, John O'Keefe can't. So, however it was done in John O'Keefe's will or if John O'Keefe died intestate, which... given the fact he's taking care of his nieces and nephews, I doubt he died intestate, meaning without a will. He probably died testate with a will. He probably appointed Paul as his executor. And because of that, Paul, as an executor, has the authority to do all kinds of things, including initiating actions and taking care of legal matters that John O'Keefe would have been able to do had he been alive. So that's why it's happening here. Paul O'Keefe is also suing individually as himself because he is a survivor of John O'Keefe, and this is a wrongful death lawsuit. And typically, the survivors of a party who's died, and it's a wrongful death lawsuit, have the ability under state law to sue. There was a case way back when I first started. Oh God, this was a crazy one. It was basically, it was a lady. She was on heroin. She was a complete mess. She probably wasn't going to live another 6 months. And she got killed by a truck driver who wasn't paying attention what he was doing and, fucking killed her, ran her over, killed her. So what was she worth? Well, she's only worth like $100,000 at the end of the day. Yeah, she had a couple of kids, but, the kids had already been like sent out to the family. And there was an issue of, well, who's going to sue? Who can do what? Well, the aunt, and remember, guys, this is a problem. When someone dies, there's always going to be money that's going to bring out the worst in people. One of the aunts was like, she wanted the money for herself. She thought there was like millions of dollars at stake. She filed a lawsuit and she was trying to get the money. And I was helping on the team of people assisting these kids who were trying to, well, we got to get these kids money because that's all they've got. And the woman refused to drop the lawsuit. And she demanded to get paid. She wanted 20 G's. And we're like, what the fuck? Your niece is dead and you're trying to screw over her kids? Yeah, she wanted her 20 G's. Before she dropped the suit. And yeah, otherwise she was going to go forward and cause all kinds of problems. So this does happen. Families can sue individually. Although in John O'Keefe's case, his brother is suing. His dad, John O'Keefe II, is suing. His mom, Margaret, is suing. And Margaret's also suing as the grandparent and guardian of Kaylee Furbush. Now, there's only one kid listed here, but John O'Keefe was the guardian of a couple of other kids. So that one I'm a little curious about. Why aren't the other kids involved in the lawsuit here? That doesn't make much sense. They should be listed. I don't understand that. I don't understand that. Did we send a hitman to kill the aunt? No. It's not clear. I don't understand why they did it. But they have. And I just point that out because some of you might see that and ask, well, what about the other kids? Why are some people suing? Why aren't other people suing? I don't know. That's Massachusetts law. It may differ in what they allow and don't allow. The issue about only one of the children suing, that one I think seems a little sus to me, but I'll defer because I'm not a Massachusetts attorney. I'm only licensed in Ohio. Then you have versus the defendants. And the first one is CNC Hospitality LLC doing business as CF McCarthy's. Then you have GNS Hospitality LLC doing business as CF McCarthy's. All right, guys, remember, CF McCarthy's was where they initially started the night out, and there was those pictures and the security footage. Now, we don't know what CNC and GNS Hospitality are, how it's broken down into what parts of the bar they own, is this the catering arm? Is this, that, or the other? Who knows? CF McCarthy's is the bar they were at. Who owns it? Oh, well, a couple of companies do. You sue everybody. You sue everyone you can. And you cast a wide net. And just like watching Deadliest Catch, or that guy, that Korean dude who's out catching crabs in the Chesapeake. You take the crab, measure it, throw it away. They're just like on Deadliest Catch. Take the crab, measure it, not good, throw it away. You cast a wide net and then you thin it down. You don't thin it down before you get through discovery because it might be too late to add parties at that point. And then the Waterfall Bar and Grill Limited, doing business as the Waterfall Bar and Grill. And then finally, the person we actually care about here, Carrion Reed. Carrion Red. She is the defendant. Now, I talk about the jurisdiction and the parties. And then they get through here. Paul O'Keefe is the duly appointed representative of the estate of John O'Keefe, who died on or about January 29, 2022. Now, it's not clear, once again, he's duly appointed. Does that mean John O'Keefe died intestate, meaning a probate court had to appoint him as the personal representative, or also known as an executor or an administrator? It really depends on where you live, but they might have special terms, but for the most part, those are generally interchangeable terms. Personal representative, executor, administrator of the estate. There are differences without distinction for the most part. So it's not clear how he's got that, but we'll keep moving. We'll keep moving on here. Paul resides in Bridgewater, Plymouth County, Massachusetts. John O'Keefe II is his dad, was John O'Keefe's dad. And they live on One Meadows Avenue in Canton, in Norfolk County, Massachusetts. Margaret O'Keefe is John's grandma. Now, I do think it's all chintzy here. They call him JJ. Yes, you're trying to personalize the person, but this is just gay. This is gay. Gay. Paul, I'll tell you right now, man. This is gay. 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 They also point out Kaylee Furbush is the surviving niece of the late John O'Keefe. Okay, at all relevant times, plaintiff Kaylee was under the guardianship of John and resided in Canton. Now, I wonder if this means that the other kid, the boy, I think it is, maybe there was some issue with his guardianship or something. It wasn't clear. I don't know, but I wonder if the way this is worded is indicating there was some sort of, hink in the system or something. Who knows? But they talk about CNC Hospitality, and it's an independently owned restaurant's usual place of business. And they go through the resident agent is Stephen B. Carey. Now, remember, guys, when you do an LLC, somebody has to be the registered agent. You can be it yourself, and you have to have an address they can serve you at, which means generally not a P.O. box. Some states do allow that, but most states don't. You can they also have companies who are they're called like the Service Corporation of Ohio or Service Corporation of wherever. And they are a company, they serve as your designated agent. So that's all that can happen. People sue. If you get sued, the lawsuit comes to that company. And then that company says, oh, this is for that company. They're on our list. They match up the name and they give you a call and say, hey, buddy, you've been sued. And they mail it on to you. So they go on, and this is an issue for C.F. McCarthy's. They're saying that it appears to be operated by G&S Hospitality, whose date of organization is 4/24/23. Now, they're probably suing both because they're not sure who's in charge. And if you don't know, remember, like I said, chat, you cast a wide net and then you thin it out later. So sue both. They have the same location and the same resident agent, Stephen Carey. Now, and they point out any averments referencing your accounts against C.M. McCarthy should be assumed to incorporate both parties listed here. And that's their way of skipping out on this and trying to simplify things, that when we refer to C.F. McCarthy's, we're referring to this guy and this guy. So that's what they're doing there. It's the same way they refer to John O'Keefe as JJ. And they keep going in JJ afterwards. Well, that's how they're doing that. Waterfall Bar and Grill is a domestic corporation with the usual place of business on Washington Street. The Waterfall is a registered agent, Gerard Meehan, located here at Ames Avenue in Canton. They talk about Kieran Reed as an individual residing at 41 Gilbert Street in Mansfield in Bristol County, Massachusetts. So now we got everybody. So we're going to skip it through that there. That was a really quick just run through it, guys. So the facts, everything said above that you incorporate here. Now you see that all the time in civil suits. That is a normal way of just establishing what we said before is still part of an ongoing set of facts and information. and that we're referring to everything you see here can be referred to above. JJ was the middle child of three, all three children in a tight-knit family. He was a third-generation police officer. After this tragic death of his sister and brother-in-law, JJ took custody of his niece and nephew Patrick, who were 6 and 3 respectively. And that's where I was going to say, where is this kid? Where is Patrick? He has the right to sue. He's a survivor. He's a direct survivor. Over the next 8 years until his tragic passing, JJ raised and supported them. After the tragic death of O'Keefe, his mom took guardianship of her grandchildren. At all relevant times, O'Keefe and Karen Reed were in a dating relationship. Yep. In the months, weeks, and days leading up to January 29th, the relationship was deteriorating. Okay, blah, 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 blah. During such time, defendant Reed picked fights, experienced jealousy, and had delusions of unfaithfulness. On or about January 28th, defendant Reed knew her relationship with JJ had run its course. Now, remember, they don't know this. This is them just putting out basically conclusory allegations. On or about January 28th, the plaintiff arrived at C.F. McCarthy's. C.F. McCarthy's is licensed to distribute, serve, and sell alcohol. Then starting at about 8:58, they served Karen Reed an alcoholic beverage. She consumed it. And then through its agents at C.F. McCarthy's and its servants or employees, they served alcoholic beverages to Karen Reed at 9:13, 9:20, 9:33, 9:57, 10:22, and 10:29, saying she consumed all the drinks. Now, this makes a lot of sense here, guys. If you understand where they're going with this, they are going with the idea that the bars are responsible because they overserved Karen. And wait, hold on here. Never mind. Thought I saw something in chat. Kimba says why everybody hates her. Yes. So Karen Reed is Ethan Oliver Ralph. No. Chloe quashed her subpoena. Yes. All right. So they said C.F. McCarthy, through its agents, servants, and employees, served Reed 7 alcoholic drinks between 8:58 and 10:29. During all relevant times, Karen Reed showed signs of intoxication while at C.F. McCarthy's. Except nobody claims she was like falling over drunk during trial. All Lally could show is Karen Reed took a bunch of shots and a bunch of drinks, but was she drinking alcohol every time? Like, it's not clear because Karen Reed was not falling down drunk everywhere. I mean, 7 like vodka tonics or whatever it was she was drinking. Karen Reed was not sloppy and falling everywhere. Everybody who commented on it and testified said Karen Reed wasn't drunk. So this is a bit of an issue. I don't know how they're going to get past this. Are they going to claim those witnesses were lying? I just don't see it. I just don't see it. J-Rock, you're saying they're going the drama shop rule route. Yeah. You mean the Dram shop. But yes, they're going the drama shop rule. Yes, they're going to scan his cat. And besides, everybody in those 2 bars, everybody was intoxicated. They all basically, everybody else was drunk as shit too, and they were all drunk driving. So on or about January 28th, about 10:40, they left C.F. McCarthy's. And about that same time, Karen Reed was allowed to carry her drink out of C.F. McCarthy's. Well, did they know she did that? I mean, if they had known she was carrying a drink outside, they probably would have stopped her and said, hey, that's open container. You can't do that. And they also don't want people taking glass out into the world. That's a liability. So they would have stopped her if they had known. And then 15 minutes later, they entered the Waterfall bar. Remember, guys, the Waterfall is licensed to distribute, serve, and sell alcohol. They had the band going, had all the high top tables. Yeah. Later, Karen walked into Waterfall carrying a drink from C.F. McCarthy's. At all relevant times while at Waterfall, Karen Reed showed signs of intoxication. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. So over the course of 1 hour, Karen Reed did 1 shot and 1 mixed drink, and she consumed them. At 12:10 a.m., they left the waterfall. And then approximately 1 minute behind, John O'Keefe left the waterfall. And at all relevant times between 12:11 and 12:36, Karen Reed was under the influence of alcohol and unable to drive a motor vehicle safely. I mean, other than saying she consumed them, nobody else has indicated she was drunk. I don't I don't think that's going to go the way they think it's going to go. They're going to have a tough time with that. And J-Rock, I think your point's correct, but there's still a lot more here too that I think they're trying to do. There's an ulterior motive here. And at all relevant times, the defendant drove John O'Keefe to the residence of 34 Fairview Road. Karen and John had been in an argument that night and into the early morning. After John got out of the car, Reed drove her SUV and hit John O'Keefe. At all relevant times, Reed drove her SUV in a state of intoxication. Like I said, I don't know about that, guys. I don't know. Ugh. After hitting the SUV, John O'Keefe was knocked down onto the ground in front and suffered serious injuries and died. After hitting John O'Keefe, Karen Reed fled the scene and returned to his residence. At all relevant times, Karen Reed knew it was snowing, knew there was an impending blizzard, and knew or should have known that leaving John outside in the blizzard would likely result in serious injury or death. Now remember, this is not beyond a reasonable doubt. This is far, far less, chat. This is preponderance of the evidence standards. Now, there might be a bit of an enhancement there. Remember, we're shooting for far less regardless of the situation than beyond a reasonable doubt. At all relevant times when Karen Reed did this, she failed to use any care to avoid creating an unreasonable risk of harm. She voluntarily took an obvious risk under the circumstances. And knew or should have known that death or injury was reasonably predictable. Persisted in a clearly negligent course of conduct over a noticeable period of time. Was impatient with reasonable precautions, like what? Was deliberately inattentive to the predictable hazards of her actions. And was deliberately inattentive when there was a risk of great and immediate danger. Now, they point out that she was reckless when she hit him, when she intended the reckless conduct that resulted in the death. Her conduct made it highly likely that someone, namely John, would suffer serious injuries. She knew or had reason to know the risk of grave injury to John because she knew it would hit him. She was obvious. She intentionally or unreasonably disregarded the risk. And John's injuries or death resulted from Karen Reed's decision to engage in the conduct. So that's how they're establishing she was reckless. They point out by 4:30 in the morning, Karen knew she had hit John with her car. Nevertheless, she woke up John's 14-year-old niece, Kaylee, and talked about John's death, talked about hitting John with her SUV, and otherwise involved Kaylee in her frantic calls about John's death. Yes, PPP is going to do the way I do a grimace. Come on now. They point out relevant times Karen knew Kaylee was a vulnerable minor who already lost her parents tragically and depended on her uncle who became her surrogate parent. At 5:07 a.m., Karen Reed left One Meadows Avenue. Between 5:18 and 5:35, Karen knew John was seriously injured and buried in the snow where she had left him. On January 29th, Reed admitted repeatedly she hit John. I hit him. Is that really what she said? It's not clear. Around 6:03 a.m., Karen arrived at 34 Fairview Road and immediately observed John lying on the ground, buried in the snow, where she had left him to die. At all relevant times, John O'Keefe suffered trauma injuries before becoming hypothermic. At nearly 8 a.m., John was pronounced dead at the hospital. At relevant times after 7:50 a.m., Karen went to the grieving house of John, feigned to comfort the family, and used the opportunity to, amongst other things, remove the offending weapon, her vehicle, and destroy relevant evidence. You know, it's funny, the state tried to allege all that and it didn't fucking work, so I don't know what you're thinking. On January 29th, Karen Reed's blood was drawn, reading of 93 milligrams per deciliter. A serum conversion and retrograde extrapolation was done of the results, with the results showing her BAC would have been between 0.13 and 0.29 around the time she drove the SUV and hit John. Reed's BAC of 0.13 to 0.29 exceeds all legal limits to drive a motor vehicle in Massachusetts. It does. At all relevant times, Karen drove her SUV while under the influence of alcohol. Maybe. Did she drink more when she got home? Who knows? As a direct or proximate cause of Reed's driving drunk, John sustained serious injuries of body and mind, conscious pain and suffering, fear of impending death, lost earnings, medical, funeral, and burial expenses, and died. Now, guys, this part right here, this is boilerplate. You have to put this in a wrongful death lawsuit. Here in Ohio, it's a little differently worded, but it's the same thing. Notwithstanding her Fifth Amendment right not to speak, Karen chose to speak publicly. She knowingly and deliberately changed her story and fabricated a conspiracy, knowing the same to be false. She publicly communicated this narrative, frustrating justice for JJ. Such narratives cause the plaintiffs aggravated emotional distress. So the plaintiffs bring this complaint seeking full and complete justice for JJ. We want justice, Nori. God, the attorney writing this, be so fucking embarrassing to write that. It'd be so embarrassing. So that would be absolutely embarrassing. Citizen M says Aaron's publicly asking for me to live stream with him. When I'm done with this, I'll be happy to come on. I don't know if he's still on, but we can do that later. Citizen M, tell him my apologies, but I'm in the middle of something. Right now. Tridio says, stop by Stoney's in Rockville for biker stuff. Thank you. Dagamore is a new member. Thank you. Thank you for the support. And then Seagaloather is saying for 10 Singapore dollars, happy 10th Gamer Kate anniversary, potentially criminal. Please tell us, how do you intend not to celebrate it? By basically doing exactly like you said, not celebrating. He says, I cope by pretending it is Celepan Ramadan passing away near that day. That's one way to do it. Very funny. Yes. Thank you for the super chat. And then T-Rex Trucking Morris says, yes, the cops actually do lie sometimes. And this is a prime example of Karen Reed's case. Yes, the cops did lie. Big timing the toe. Guys, I'm already in the middle of something. It's not fair to you guys here. We're doing this. So, first of all, count one. The estate of John O'Keefe versus C.M. McCarthy's for wrongful death. So, their claim is that they negligently served alcohol to an intoxicated person, mainly Karen Reed. They knew or should have known that she was intoxicated at all times. Now, what did she do? Well, they violated what are called dram shop laws. Dram shop laws were laws that were passed back when you bought alcohol. You bought it from a place called a dram shop. That was also the name for bars and other things that like where you could go get those drinks. And dram shop laws were meant to hold bar owners and liquor stores responsible for getting people liquored up and turning really drunk people loose with even more alcohol. Because of that, they started enforcing things. So every once in a while you will hear about it. I know for a big case I remember about is happened here in Ohio a while back. It was in Toledo. A guy was at a bar and they kept serving him. He was fucking wasted. They served him more and served him more and served him more and served him more. Got in his truck, drove the wrong way down the highway, and killed like a family of 8 or 7. and then like crippled a couple more people. So yes, there are times where bars do have liability and responsibility here, but I don't see it in this situation. Remember, Brittany's saying Massachusetts has some pretty strict dram shop rules, and that's some states are going to be very strict. It's just very questionable here. Remember how many people said, well, yeah, everybody was like, Karen Reed wasn't all sauced up. She didn't seem sauced up. So I don't know how it's going to work. But they're holding him responsible because they didn't hire competent employees, staff, and bartenders. They didn't provide adequate work personnel to work there, so there was an overworked bar staff. They didn't provide adequate safety training, saying, you need to understand when someone seems drunk, cut them off. Or, hey, I just did like 5 vodka tonics for that guy. If he's really chugging him down and it's only been 45 minutes, we need to slow him down, give him a pop, and tell him to take care of that. Here, drink this on the house. You know, the decisions have violated safety training. So they're saying that you didn't. They're also saying even if you did have safety training, you likely violated it. The choice to retain unfit employees and staff and bartenders, remember, this is the beginning. So they don't know the employment history and the qualifications of the people that night. So they're casting a wide net. The choice not to supervise adequately, it's employees. So who was in charge of the bar that night? Why was that person not paying attention? They said, and then they say C.M. McCarthy's acted not only with indifference, but with utter forgetfulness of its said duty. And they said C.M. McCarthy's acted with gross negligence. C.M. McCarthy's acted willfully, wantonly, and recklessly with disregard for the safety of others when it served Karen Reed. And then they said they deliberately ignored the appreciable risk and or voluntarily incurred the obvious risk of serving a very drunk person who was intoxicated. They said C.M. McCarthy continued to serve Karen Reed at relevant times when she was clearly intoxicated. And as a direct and proximate result, that's a civil term right there, guys, of C.M. McCarthy's gross negligence and or willful or wanton disregard for the safety, John O'Keefe sustained serious injury to his body, conscious pain and suffering, fear of impending death, lost earnings, medical, funeral expenses, yada, 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 yada. And they say it's a direct and proximate result of C.F. McCarthy's negligence. John O'Keefe's next of kin suffered as well. John O'Keefe's next of kin are entitled to the lost value resulting from his wrongful death. Such damages include are not expected, but society, companionship, comfort, guidance, counsel, net income, services, assistance, protection, care, and advice to each next of kin. Now, a lot of this here, you guys would call this traditionally back in the day was called consortium. You know, he's your family member. You get to go hang out at barbecues. You get to, my brother's my best friend. We go fishing. We play golf. We'd be there for our kids' baptisms and birthday parties and this and that. And we go smoke cigars and, do all kinds of fun stuff. Somebody I could go to for guidance. Someone I could go to for counsel. And by counsel, I mean, I'm confiding in you. I'm seeking your wisdom. Net income. That guy could have made money that could have helped the family. His services. He could have been there to help us, help around the house, help provide things with assistance and protection. So it's all the things that he isn't able to do now that it's not just, oh, he's gone, but it's all the things he would have been able to do for his family. So therefore, they're saying for count one, they want judgment against C.F. McCarthy's. And they want compensatory punitive damages, lost value, next of kin, and any other relief this court deems appropriate. Now, count two is for the Waterfall Bar and Grill. Now, once again, this is exactly the same thing here, chat. This is a carbon copy. And Valhalla, we'll actually get to that. That's a good question. This is literally, they repeat and reallege and incorporate by reference everything above it. So paragraphs, I normally, when I do this, I say paragraphs 1 to 63 just to make sure it's clear. Now, the defendant, the Waterfall Bar, did the exact same thing. And you guys notice They literally copied and pasted and just changed the name. And that's fine. That's how you do this. Copy and paste. Control C, Control V. It's literally the exact same thing except for they served 2 drinks there. Now, the estate of John O'Keefe is suing Karen Reed for wrongful death as well. Now, this is going to be a little different. So they're stating here that at relevant times, Karen Reed owed John and the public a duty not to drive drunk and to drive her vehicle safely or with due care. And on the date of the crash, Karen Reed owed John O'Keefe and the public a large duty to pay attention to the roadway. Well, she did. She paid attention to what was in front of her, just not behind her. Oh! So they're saying, though, that she breached her duties by driving drunk and driving in an unsafe manner. And they talk about a direct and proximate cause of her negligence, gross negligence, and or willful or wanton reckless disregard for safety. John sustained injuries, and they go again, body and mind, conscious pain and suffering, fear of impending death, lost earnings, medical, funeral, and burial expenses, and died. And once again, it's the exact same thing again for her next of kin. And they want the same thing again. They're seeking judgment. Guys, a lot of this is copy and paste, so we're going to be skipping ahead on some of this because you've already just seen it. Now, this is count 4, intentional infliction of emotional distress. This is John O'Keefe's mom suing C.F. McCarthy's. Now, this is going to be interesting. So, John's mom learned of his admission in the hospital and came to John's body at the hospital shortly thereafter. Their negligence caused the death of her son, John. So, she suffered severe and profound emotional injuries manifesting in physical symptoms as a result of observing John dead at the hospital because of C.F. McCarthy's negligence. Her emotional injuries, severe physical pain, anguish, emotional distress, and other harm were directly or proximately caused by C.F. McCarthy's negligence. A reasonable person in the same position as Margaret O'Keefe at the time of John's death would have suffered severe and profound emotional distress. Now, this part right here. Yep, people would have. Death would have, that would cause it. Did she have emotional injuries? I'm sure she did. Did she have severe pain? Probably. Anguish, emotional distress? Yes. Was it harmed by C.F. McCarthy's negligence? No. You can't prove their negligence. You can't prove they violated the Dram Shop Act. All this here, chat, I don't think they can do. So this is not a winner. This is really just trying to smoke people out to get money. Now you see here, John O'Keefe versus C.F. McCarthy's. This is, once again, chat, count 5, copy and paste. You see? They're literally you see how it gets shorter and shorter and shorter? That's why. Count 6, Paul O'Keefe versus C.F. McCarthy's. Negligent infliction of emotional distress. And then they get to Margaret O'Keefe for the waterfall. Negligent infliction of emotional distress. Done. It's literally the same thing. It's literally the same thing. Yeah, everybody testified she didn't appear drunk. So. And then they have, again, John O'Keefe at the waterfall for count 8. Same thing again. No, the bar, it's their fault. Count 9, Paul O'Keefe with the waterfall. Done. Count 10, Margaret O'Keefe versus Karen Reed. Negligent or reckless infliction of emotional distress. So they get to it and they learn that Karen Reed's negligence caused the death of John. Okay. And she suffered all the emotional injuries and manifesting symptoms because she observed John at the hospital dead. Now, here's where they're going to here's what they're going to try to do. Karen Reed outrageously created a false narrative. Because of that caused even more emotional injuries, pain and anguish, and emotional distress. And a reasonable person would have had it at the same time. Now, I'm surprised they didn't go into this more. They probably could have, but you know what? It's notice pleading. That's enough for now if you know what you're on notice of. They're stating the facts. They don't have to be elaborate yet. Now, John O'Keefe versus Karen Reed. It's going to be the exact same thing, guys. Copy paste. Paul O'Keefe versus Karen Reed. Copy and paste. And then count 13. Kaylee Furbush versus Karen Reed. Now, she points out that she is the niece of John, and John was her guardian. Okay. Well, anyway, this is where they talk about some different stuff. You know, she learned about it because Karen Reed told her at 4:30 in the morning John was dead. Karen knew Kaylee was vulnerable, having already lost her parents. Nevertheless, Karen spoke on the speakerphone to various people between 4:30 and 5 about John being dead. In all relevant times, Kaylee heard Karen say, John never came home. Maybe I did something. Maybe a snowplow hit him. Maybe I hit him. Maybe I hit him. We were in an argument. Maybe he got hit by a snowplow. As a result, Kaylee perceived the injuries to her guardian were done by that event. And at around 5 a.m. after waking Kaylee up, Karen left Kaylee home alone. Karen intentionally or recklessly inflicted emotional distress when she woke up the kid and informed her that her uncle had been left on a snowdrift. And they said she either intended to inflict emotional distress or knew or should have known emotional distress was likely from her conduct. Karen Reed's conduct was extreme and outrageous, beyond the bounds of decency. It was utterly intolerable. After John O'Keefe was declared dead, Karen came to the family house and feigned concern. Rather, it became clear Karen was there only to collect her belongings and take possession of the murder weapon. The emotional distress suffered by Kaylee was severe and that no reasonable person could be expected to endure. You know, based on the defendant's extreme and outrageous conduct, caused Kaylee aggravated emotional distress with physical symptoms. She suffered severe and profound emotional injuries as a result of perceiving John's death as a result of Karen's negligence. Then Karen created a false narrative, and once again, she suffers injuries, pain, anguish, emotion, distress, and other harms. And yes, anybody in her position would have suffered a similar profound emotional distress. Now, from here, this is the end. They seek a trial by jury. And that's it. Now, what does this mean for Karen? Coke Fairy says, who killed John then? I don't know. I don't think it was Karen. Someone did. What about all those people in the house that were never asked? That's where I'd start. So, yeah. So what does this do for Karen? Well, civil suits allow for discovery. So, for example, they could get they can get things from Karen. Now, I bet this has been done in conjunction with the state's attorney's office there, the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office, as a bit of evidence fishing, because they can request things that the prosecutor's office couldn't get away with. They could get a hold of Karen's interactions with Turtle Boy, and they could see if they all knew it's bullshit. If they could find that evidence, they could find the planning. They could do all those things. They could find a lot of things from a lot of people. There's ways they can seek discovery. And discovery, yes, as you said, Sandy, discovery goes both ways. So we don't know what they're going to do yet, but this is potentially dangerous for Karen. Now, to be fair, if they try to depose her, she would have the right to postpone this and push it out past her criminal trial. That would make a lot of sense because she's in the middle of a fucking trial. She has the right to remain silent. She can do all the things she wants to do, and she can go from there with it. Now, what is this going to lead to, Karen? I don't know. I don't know what they're going to ask for. I don't know what they're going to find. I have a feeling, though, that the Massachusetts State Police and people who think Karen Reed is guilty have assisted Paul O'Keefe and the family on getting a lot of information available to go forward. Yes, Joseph says, drink too much, you end up like Karen or Nick. Gross. Yes. So that kind of leaves us here. Now, if you go on Twitter, people are like, oh my God, they're gonna get this and that and the other, and Karen's toast. It's like, not so much. Not so much. I get where you're going with it, but not right away. Not right away. If Karen survives this and gets through it, yeah, then you're gonna have to deal with it. If she gets convicted, great, it'll be a home run. She won't be able to win. If Karen wins and gets acquitted, oh boy. And Valhalla says that this 100% gets used to her benefit in the criminal trial if it happens. Sure. There's a lot of things there, but there's also stuff that if Karen gives up discovery, Paul O'Keefe's team could turn around and give it to the prosecutor's office. So it all depends. Is there anything Karen could discover in this trial that could be new? I don't know. I don't know what she's looking for, but she could do a lot of things. She could do a lot of things. So time will tell. Time will tell. Now, J-Rock brought up a great point, says they're hoping for a quick settlement insurance from the restaurants. I could see that happening. They got insurance policies, get a couple $100,000 from each one, and be on their way. I don't know, get like $300,000-400,000 from each one, get 250,000, maybe just get 250 G's from each one. Remember, they have liability policies. So get like 250 grand from each one. The attorney takes his 30% off the top, goes and makes a boat payment. Because that's the real reason why people, why attorneys have big boats? Because people sue each other. These are the reasons why attorneys have big boats, as somebody I once encountered on the internet said before. Now, Stephen Cooper is gifted 20 subs. Let's go. And Johan Naxos for 5 subs. And thank you very much, both of you guys, for your support and your generosity. Stephen Cooper out there doing his part to genocide the Greys. And Johan helping as well. And Valhalla says, how can they possibly be responsible for what Paul O'Keefe believes to be a murder? Doesn't suing the bar seem counterintuitive? No. Because it's clear that there was, to say this is not an alcohol-related fatality is disingenuous. There was alcohol involved, but how much was involved? Was Karen intoxicated? We really don't know any of the questions, those answers. So suing the bar makes a lot of sense. Suing the bar makes a lot of sense here. Brittany says, can the state fine the bar's big bucks to spend their licenses to serve, though? I'm sure they could, but I think that was probably already investigated. And ultimately, what are they going to know? Nobody seemed like Karen was completely thrashed and gone. Gandalf the Great says, try to genocide me. I'll come back as Gandalf the White. Oh, don't tempt me. Don't tempt me with a good time. Fire Knight says, what was the cause of death? Severe blunt force trauma and hypothermia, I think, is what killed him ultimately. Is this maybe a dirty attempt to cut her defense fund before a trial? Yeah, Valhalla, I could, that's not a bad thought, but remember, they're going to get this put on hold because she's busy fighting the criminal case. They're going to put this all on hold. She has the right to address one thing at a time. Now, having multiple civil suits at once, that's your fault. That's your problem. But trying to balance these out, yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with trying to pause. Johan says, God bless the goal. Yeah, well, yes, there's the goal. The goal, chat. So the next thing we're going to talk about, though, Karen Reed related. So you can't clap with no hands. The Gold Met, go pick a fight at Nate's stream all night. Will Alan Jackson return to her defense team? It's not necessarily. I don't think he's left. It's just for right now he's not there. But if they go back to trial, I think he comes back. But the team they have right now, Yannetti and Marty Weinberg, are pretty good. Carly says statute of limitations is about to run regarding civil matters, so hopefully no more civil suits come her way. Well, no, actually, I mean, if they only have 18 months, I'm surprised. Usually it's like 2 years is a standard statute of limitations time frame. But yes, that's always something, because remember, this happened in 2022, and now we're into 2024. So yeah, it's like 2.5 years, 3 years in. We're getting there. We're getting there. Yeah, Alan Jackson is still in the case, guys. Yes. Carly says 3 years from the time of the death in Massachusetts. That very well could be. But I think this is done now. I think they're doing this. I think this is part of a coordinated lawfare action to try to see what they can do to help the prosecution. I'm sure Paul wants to help stick it to Karen however he can. And if he could do it through a lawsuit, then so be it. I mean, it really does make sense that way. This is Paul getting angry and, him sitting there and he's just mauling over. Paul mad. Paul not like Karen get away with murder of John. Paul really liked John. John best friend of Paul. Paul sue John. Paul sue Karen. Roar, Paul. I mean, he looks like a caveman. So we'll see what happens. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. I think it's going to crash and burn. I think these bars are going to tell them to fuck off, which I hope they do, because this is some bullshit. And if the bars tell them to fuck off, they're probably going to dismiss it because there's nothing else there. Carly's saying Karen has a lot of support, though, so that's good. Does legal insurance or something help her? I don't know how that works. I don't know what she's got going on. I don't know what she has there. I'm sure somebody is set to help her deal with the civil suit. I'm sure her legal team's plan for civil suits to come along, and they're going to deal with it as it comes to them. Are the Alberts and McCabe's that important they have to be protected like this? I mean, I don't think they are, but remember, here's part of the problem. Once you start a cover-up, it's the sunk cost fallacy. You're spending more and 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 more resources. Eventually, it's like too late. It's too late. So that's the ultimate issue. That's the ultimate issue, I think, at the end of the day. There's too much at stake now. There's too much at stake. Too many people have said too many things. Yes, more. Yes, more. Yeah, Nick versus Monty. Now, see, that's a different thing. Nick has a criminal case and a civil case, but that one's different because they're different parties. So anything Monty gets out of his civil case isn't necessarily something that can be used to hurt Nick in his criminal case. Now, he could ask for a timeout, especially if his case is like, I only have so many resources and bandwidth. And it kind of seems like that's the general trajectory of the Monty case anyway. It's kind of moseying along. Paul feels harassed by Turtle Boy. Paul feels harassed by Turtle Boy. Paul dig heels in. Paul fight. Have you got over the modified collective bargaining agreement? No, you guys don't have one. Pepsi saying Joe Good Logic is currently doing a stream against Kurt because he did so badly against him while he was on Nate the Lawyer stream. I don't know. I'll take your word for it. I just haven't seen it. Yeah. Yes, more Janelle. Nick can claim he's on drugs after he takes the plea. That's funny. I was too impaired, Chad. I didn't know. Going back to the stuff with Karen Reed, guys, this is probably where they are. They're going to try to get into her and Turtle Boy's communications. Things that were brought up. But remember, Karen Reed still has attorney-client privilege, all the different things that are going on there. So they're going to probably be trying to snipe up limited bits of conversation. And the timeline on a lawsuit, it's months in like that. They're probably not going to get to that point because remember, Karen Reed's going to get the chance to respond. She'll probably get an extension of time. There will be, you get the file complaint, then there's an answer, and then you move on to like requests for admissions, interrogatories, discovery request. There might be a dismissal motion filed by Karen, which then they're going to have to drop and deal with first, or they're going to have to do a jurisdictional issue. Who really knows what's going to happen there? Yes, April was not in court. April was hiding in Nick's basement, which is the dumbest fucking move you could do. But Nick and April are dumb motherfuckers, so that's what they do. SB Seller says, if Turtle Boy was an investigator for the defense, would he be off limits? Yes. Yes, but it's got to be clearly established and clearly defined. Are you an investigator? Are you working on behalf of the attorneys? Because that's how it works. If an attorney hires an investigator, that work the investigator does is protected. That's protected product. It's work product. If me and the investigator are talking about the case, that's protected. Because I'm working with my staff and people on it. Because think about it, if you're an attorney, you're working with your paralegal on a case, that's obviously privileged. So the people I hire to help me do a case would be privileged too. If Karen and Turtle Boy are talking, that's probably not privileged, depending on how things are set up. If they're set up at all. If they're not set up, then that's going to be fair game. And they want to go after him. Yes, EDW Raptor says, show us how those tits are, April. Yes. Guys, please, when you go on these Zoom calls, don't say shit. Don't. You're making it difficult for everybody. I understand you want to, but come on now. Mega Bobass for $19.99. Thank you. Thank you for the super chat. Saying, just popping in to poke your brain. Is Joe sweeping and mildly coping? I like Joe. I love his Trump takes, but I don't like his takes with Nick. Kurt is odd, but I like him. Guys, I like Kurt. I know a lot of people don't like Kurt or like to fuck with him, but I enjoy Kurt. I think Kurt's a nice guy. But I like him. I'm odd too. I hate all the crossfire. I hate all the crossfire too. I think at the end of the day, this is all gay. And it's all like, at the end of the day, all this shit is happening because of, it's like Band of Brothers when the two guys are fighting on the boat. And a big fight breaks out because somebody called Captain Sobel a Jew. And these guys are sitting on the rack saying, oh my God, now we're fighting over Captain Sobel. Like, that's how pathetic it is. Now, do I think Joe's sweeping? No. Do I think Joe is trying to understand it the best he can? Sure. Is he trying to give Nick good faith, belief, and reasoning and understanding and things? Sure. Would I call that coping more than anything else? Yeah, but I wouldn't call him a sweeper. I think Joe's been actively banning and attempting to go after people, so I wouldn't call him a sweeper in this. It's somebody, he truly views Nick as a friend, and he thinks right now his role as a friend is to 100% be there for Nick and protect him in that regard. And as we're on the other hand, I think a duty of a friend is to hold someone accountable, and part of accountability is shame. Shame and mockery, because if they won't take care of it, then there's no other option left. But remember, like I said, guys, we can agree to disagree. I still have nothing but respect for Joe. I still like Joe. I think Joe's a nice guy. I have no problem with Joe. So it doesn't change much for me. T-Rex at Trucking and More says, I don't understand any future case against Karen Reed has any grounds to move forward when the lead detective can be so easily impeached. Well, remember, they can still, If there's other ways to bring evidence in, if there's other ways to do it, they probably can. Just, prosecutors are like life. They will find a way to survive. They'll find a way to flourish. And they will use whatever fucking means available to them to make sure that happens. So, don't you worry. Don't you worry, child. Mr. Lally's going to figure something out. He'll figure something out. Manreza says, if you look out your window to your left, folks, it's the beautiful city of Copenhagen. I am way more gay than Kurt and Joe. That's fair. That's fair. Sunseal says, has anyone in the loss for recovering the John Sknatter lawsuit? Last I heard was last year when the judge agreed to move forward with the trial and they had 14 days to come up with a trial schedule. Who's John Sknatter? Oh, John Schnatter. Oh, the CEO of the Papa John's lawsuit. Oh, it's SCH Schnatter. Okay, yeah, that. The Papa John's lawsuit, because wasn't he? I think he was suing because they came after him for they leaked his recorded comments damaging his brand. Yeah, so there was a summary judgment case, but it's back on the burners. It's back on track, but I don't know anything new about it right now. I'll have to look into that. I thought that was like kind of already done, but no, Sunseal. I'll take a look at that. Let me hold on. You know what? Hold on here. Let's take a look here on Pacer. Let's do Pacer. All right, log in. No, I don't want the California District Court. All right, there we go. Now, where did this say it was out of? U.S. District Court for Western Kentucky. All right. Kentucky Western. There we go. Submit. All right, here we go. Query. SCHNATTER. Run query. John H. Schnatter. Okay, so he's got the 24/7 Group LLC. Docket reports. Run report. For the past 90 days. Well, the past 90 days, not the past couple of years. See how much it cost me. Chad, I encourage 60 cents for you guys. That's how much I love you. All right. Receipt of memorandum opinion. Oh, okay. Let me see here. What is this saying? Looks like he lost attorney's fee. It looks like it's okay, so. All right. So one of the people involved got all their claims dismissed. Okay, so that person owes Papa John's owes them like 50 G's in attorney's fees. All right. I'll take a look at this. I'll take a look at this later, chat. So we'll need to come back to that. We'll take a look at. So here's what the case is. It's Papa John's case of Schnatter versus 24/7 Group LLC. So it looks like there was a bench trial, and usually this is never a good sign when the defendant shall be awarded $47,000 on attorney's fees. Oof. Well, if it looks like it didn't go so well for Papa John. Although, let's see if he's got another. It showed him as another thing here. Okay, that's not him. It's this one. It's this one. So this case is still ongoing. I'll have to take a look at it. I will have to take a look at it and see what's there. That Shame says, I like Kurt too. He's super smart. He may be autistic, but let the non-autist among us cast the first stone. Yes, that's true. That's true. Mega Mobass says, I appreciate that answer. My opinion of Joe hasn't changed. He's still my favorite Jew. Still need a Kino and PC crossover. I've been on Kino Casino. I've been on there. But yeah, Worst Game PPP want me to come back on to A-Log. We can do that at some point, sure. Pizza Law, yes. Pizza Law is a real thing. T-Rex Trucking and More says, will the wrongful death suit be able to use any part of either criminal suit, whether it be transcripts or testimony for impeachment purposes or anything else? So here's the deal. This is a very good question. If they call a witness and that witness has already testified, yes. So, for example, the car reconstruction experts or people from the bar or people that were out drinking with Karen Reed and John O'Keefe, all those people could be called in to testify. And any statements you give under oath, any testimony you give under oath is prime impeachment material. So there will be transcripts of their first trial testimony, their second trial testimony, ready to go. So the Colakeithuses, the ones with the really weird name, the really dorky ones that were there. But then, Brian Higgins, the Alberts, the McCabe's, all those people. And then people for CM McCarthy's, anybody that was there that's testified or given a statement anywhere, that sworn testimony will be prime material for impeachment if it differs. So, very good question. Yes, I paid not to show chat. Yes, I did. So, joke's on you. And that's why, dang it, I closed out the screen here. That's why it disappeared. I wonder what Papa John's up to these days. He's doing really well. Johan is saying, do you have to be a licensed attorney to get on Pacer? No, you do not. To get on Pacer, you could sign up to do it. If you do under a certain amount of searches per quarter, they don't charge you for it, but you do have to provide them with credit. You do have to provide them with that because they could charge you for it. They charge you per page. But Pacer is actually a very good tool to have if you want to look around. Although if you're not sure, you can use Court Listener, courtlistener.org. People basically go on there and then documents get stripped off and sent there so you can access stuff without having to pay for it. Let's see here. Demon Psychiatrist says, I'm autistic, but I'm not Kiwi Farms autistic. Well, that's what you think. You might be all along. Suzanne says, good evening, Sean. Hope this day finds you well. He did. It was a very, very nice day today. It was a very, very nice day. It was really hot, though, but other than that, it was pretty good. Tomorrow's going to be pretty good as well. Yes, Court Listener plus VPN equals unlimited searches. Sure, but there are times where you are going to need, I need Pacer because stuff is not available on Court Listener. Because nobody's put it up there and nobody's searched it already. And Suzanne, I hope you're having a great day as well, by the way. Now, there are another updates on the Karen Reed trial, and this goes back to Sandra Birchmore. And it's very interesting that's what's happened here. Now, if you guys don't know Sandra Birchmore, she was a young woman who was murdered out in the same areas where all this happened. And part of the police staff that investigated Karen Reed were investigating Sandra Birchmore, and they fucked it up. They bumbled it. And that really set the tone for how competent Karen Reed's case was going to be and what was going to happen here. And since that's happened, the federal government has indicted somebody for her death. Now, this is where we were saying, is this going to happen? What's going to happen here? Well, we have a couple of pages of information. It's very short. It's very short. Now, this happened in Norfolk County, so it's the same county Karen Reed's in. That's something that helps here if you guys are not sure what's going to be happening with this. And it's actually kind of fucked up what, like, the whole fact pattern here of what actually happened, but it's a little like, ugh. It's very sussy, chat. It's very, very, very sussy. It's not something it's not something that makes you think like, oh, this is good. It's really bad. And we're gonna get to it right here in a minute. I gotta try to get it to load up. Hold, give me 1 second. Where did that go? There we go. Now, if you ask like Jennifer Coffindaffer and all those people, they think this is the real people you should be supporting and everything that's going on. But I think there's more than enough here to support Karen Reed and Sandra Birchmore. But here we go. So oh, come on. Load up. Load up, you son of a bitch. You're killing me, Pacer. You are killing me right now. Download selected. Let's see if that changes anything. Oh, come on now. Of course. Of course. Pacer just goes herp, burp, 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 burp. This is just come on. Hold on, chat. Did my internet go out? Because I don't see you guys talking either. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Hold on, chat. Are you guys still there? You guys are still here? Okay, because that was weird. Just nothing was working for a second, so. I just had I had the indictment up and I lost it, so trying to find it again. God damn it. All right, this is why I hate court listener. Court listener sucks ball sack half the time as well. So Just so you know, you're like, oh, I could go a court listener. Court listener's sucking ballsack right now too, chat. So don't try to tell me like, oh, you can get it free somewhere. I understand you can. Yeah, well, apparently it's saying my internet's going down, but apparently you guys are still here. So I'm really confused about what the hell's going on. I really am right now. So, oh well, oh well. Watch out for the paracommies. Might be the NSA. Go to Lex. I don't yet, J Rock. I don't have Lexus. I have a Lexus product, but I don't know. I don't think it's set up so I could search cases. That's not the issue. Shit's not working. That's the problem, chat. So we're trying to figure it. Hold on one second. I don't know, guys. Oh well, hold on. We're gonna try it again. Just hang tight. Because I do think this is like full of what the fuck. Like this whole thing is full of what the fuck. Christopher Hood says, poor guy. Well, no, don't worry about me. I'm not the. No, the poor guy is the woman who got murdered and the way she got murdered and everything that happened here. All right, that's the poor thing. Of people we're going to feel bad for right now. Sandra Birchmore is the one we're going to feel bad for. All right, so all right, here we go, chat. We got some stuff we can use here. Is Discord working? I'll get it for you off the AG's website. Trenton, it's on the federal court website. It's not in the AG's, so that's not it. It's not going to be there. Don't worry. It's all good. We got something. For whatever reason, yeah. Eric, you lie. You're DDoSing me. Seriously, though, I just don't understand why the fuck is Pacer acting all retarded all of a sudden. It shouldn't. It's Pacer, just like fucking work. But whatever. It's Pacer. It's got to be difficult. Or it wouldn't be Pacer. I mean, after all, it is the government. So here we go. We are going to move on. I got some things we can look at here. All right. This is full of what the fuck, chat. This is full of what the fuck here. Here it is. Duncan says, poor Sean. I'm like, I'm okay. You're going to be fine. We're going to be fine. Is it a site thing? I don't know. It's a shitty site sometimes. So anyways, here we go, chat. We're going to read this. This is just like, oof, this is not good. This is not good. You're going to read this and you're going to say, what? So here we go. On or about March 27th, 2012, and on or about April 1st, 2022, the defendant, Matthew Farwell, was a sworn officer of the Stoughton Police Department in Stoughton, Massachusetts. In his capacity there, he also served as an instructor for the Police Explorers Academy, which is a vocational educational program for local youth, which is a lot of police departments have them. But what happens here is the reason why a lot of police departments don't do this is the reason why a lot of places don't do they don't do police explorers anymore. It's a very big liability. There's no reason to do it half the time. There's no reason to do it. So this is a very much a word to the wise. This is a warning for those of you out there. If you're a cop and you're watching this, you're like, oh, we should do an explorers group. It's like, no, you shouldn't. You never should. Like, please don't. This is not going to end well. Do not do it. You're going to have a rough time. I promise you. It's not going to go well. Oh, that's all I can tell you. So, all right. So here we go. Here we go, chat. Finally, it worked. Oh, took forever and a day. All right. So count one is killing a witness or victim. We'll get to that. So the Police Explorers program was designed to enable youth participants to learn about being a police officer. Eventually, you could join up and be part of it. Trenton, I gave you a link. You didn't send me links. I don't see them anywhere. So I have your other stuff you sent. I have his detention affidavit, all your stuff. I needed the indictment. I couldn't find that. So Sandra Birchmore was born in 1997. Around March 2010, Sandra applied to be a participant in the Police Explorers. At that time, she was 12 years old. She began participating in the program in 2010 and remained there through 2016. Prior to and in around 2012, she was Farwell was an Explorer volunteer, and he became an instructor when he started working for the police department in 2012. Before Birchmore attained the age of 16 years of age, Farwell engaged in sexual activity with her. Now, why is 16 important? Because that's the age of consent in Massachusetts. So Farwell's sexual contact with Birchmore continued until early 2021. Now, this next part, guys, we're going to see, we covered this when we talked about the police officers in New Orleans and how the feds can get you for crimes. You weren't even thinking about it. For very mundane things related to your employment. So the Stoughton Police Department required employees, including officers, to accurately report their time to receive wages and overtime. During some of the shifts, when Farwell was supposed to be performing his duties as a cop, he was instead engaged in sex acts with Sandra Birchmore. He failed to disclose that information to the department, and he took steps to conceal it from other employees. So now we've got an issue because and undoubtedly they use electronic means to keep track of their time. Well, now, chat, what does that mean for him? So what does this mean? Well, if you're doing that and you have electronic means of doing your time, that's wire fraud, chat. That's wire fraud. So now we're getting into an issue there. That's a federal crime. So in or around December 2020, Sandra Birchmore learned she was pregnant. Birchmore told Farwell that he was the father of the child. You are the father. On or about January 20th, 2021, Birchmore's friend called the police department and told a department employee that Farwell had been having sex with Birchmore. Shortly thereafter, a police department employee told Farwell about the call. Oh, Jesus, that's not good. On or about February 1st, Farwell killed Birchmore by strangulation. Shortly thereafter, Farwell staged her Massachusetts apartment to make it look like she had committed suicide. Count one, killing a witness or a victim. So the grand jury alleges all the prior paragraphs, and they say what happened here. Well, they say that with forethought and maliciously and with premeditation and the intent to prevent communication by a person or law enforcement officer of information relating to the commission or possible commission of a federal offense, to wit, commission or possible commission of the federal offenses of deprivation of rights under color of law, in violation of 18 U.S.C. 242, coercion enticement in violation of 18 U.S.C. 2422b, and wire fraud in violation of 18 U.S.C. 1343. Because remember, chat, she's a witness. She could say, no, he wasn't working that day. We were fucking. Well, there you go. All this is in violation of 18 U.S.C. 1512 A1C. And then it was signed by the grand jury. So it is it's a very big part of the Karen Reed stuff, guys. It's very interesting that it's happened, and it's only going to get more interesting from here on out. The feds are starting to go after people. So A1C sounds very diabetic. Oof. You're funny. You're funny. Well, that's a very high A1C level, 1,500, 512% A1C level. So, guys, the feds are starting to get involved. They're starting to go after people. Now, as far as did they, when Sandra was killed, it's my understanding, though, she learned she was pregnant. So did he get charged with killing 2 people? No, he did not. Yes, and he was married. His wife gave birth the day after the murder. Yes, that is a really fucked up part here. Could the person that told Farwell be charged with something? Well, I'm sure they probably got fired, but it's more of a. I'm sure it wasn't like a snitching thing, like, bro, they're coming to get you. It's more of a, hey man, there's some like fucking crazy lady came in here and said you were fucking one of our explorers or something for the longest time, and you knocked her up. It's fucking weird, man. I'm betting it's more like that. Now, Maddie B says, how is this related to Karen Reed? Well, the officers involved in the investigation of this said they couldn't find information on Sandra's phone. That they're like, oh, we couldn't do it. They missed like 30,000 text messages. And some of the Massachusetts State Police involved in Karen Reed's case helped torpedo this investigation and basically scuttle it. That's the issue here. This is the whole problem. Is it's just Detective Gorino, that the police departments and the law enforcement in Norfolk County are horribly fucking corrupt. So they'll not even cover, like, they'll pin a murder on Karen Reed, but then they'll cover up one of their own murdering a fucking girl. I mean, that's how fucked up these guys are. Like, that's how bad these guys are now. Like, that's what they're doing here. I mean, because Sandra Birchmore was only like 23 years old at that point. She was born in 1997. And then by 2021, she was murdered. Yeah, and this whole time, this guy had been committing gross sexual imposition, rape of a minor, a lot of things that were before she was 16. Crimes he could have been convicted of still at that point, very likely. So, yeah, the police were like, oh, well, golly, we can't do it. Sorry, yuck. That's the problem. That's the problem here. Yeah, she died in Canton. Once again, guys, yes. That's the other issue with this thing, too, ultimately, is, she died in Canton. Well, the same officers, the Massachusetts State Police, all that, it's the same organizations and people investigating the same faces. That's the problem here. That's the problem with all of this. It just shows you how corrupt and fucked the whole thing is for Karen Reed. These guys are about as corrupt as a New Orleans cop. Yeah, they are. Massachusetts is why the Irish were put on their own little island. Sunshine is saying Farwell's twin brother would sleep with Sandra. Oof. Well, were they doing the joke about the human clone? Where she didn't know there was the twin, and the one twin's having sex with her, the other one goes around and walks by the front window so she can see him. Oh no. So Kevin Dorr says, for $2, Nick's wife is the dumbest for sticking around. We all make our choices out there, chat. Stephen Cooper for $2 says, Matt Harris is getting a bench trial on September 19th. Ooh, that'll be fun. That'll be fun. Good luck, Matt. It's like Star Fox. Good luck. So Ariel's saying they actually did find messages on Sandra's laptop, which makes it worse because they all knew what was going on between them. Yes. Yeah, there's a lot of problems with this entire situation. Duncan Idaho says YouTube is communist and I hate them. Anyway, I think the Massachusetts police are due for an exhaustive audit. Yeah, but they probably won't, though. They probably won't get it, though. Tread says, dual barrel roll. Yes, Brad says the unbreaded Matt. Yes, the Matt from Death Sentences. Matthew Harris. Yes, the unbreaded. Is the Matthew Harris trial in Denver? I don't know where it's going to be at. Either Denver or California. I think it's in Denver. All right, let's see here. Real quick, chat. I need to do something. All right, hold on here. What is this? Yes, the Argonaut games, legendary developer whom Nintendo make the original Star Fox, is back with a remaster of Croc. Oh. It's in Denver. Okay. You guys are on paper. Yes, on paper. Unbreaded. Touchdown. Yes, guys, we won't be able to see that trial for Matthew Harris because it's in federal court. So we're only going to get to see transcripts of it, or if there's any court sketches, we'll get to see those of Matthew Harris. So those will be interesting enough. Yes, you could go road trip. You can attend it in person. You could do that if you want to. Green Cap says, I'll go report on it for you if you want. That would be funny. That would be hilarioso. That would be hilarioso. Wait, hold on. Wait. That's a shame says, yo, just got a locals notice from Nick openly acknowledging April. Wait, what? What? Please send me to fill in there. I'm confused. Yeah, Green Cap, so you want to go? Be a good boy. Be a good boy if you're going to go. Be a best boy. Nick is streaming about the April's trial in the secret location? Like right now? Like, no way he's not doing this right now. Is he really that, Oh, 11:30. Oh, okay. I was about to say that'd be hilarious. Yes, that MF said he's going to cover a hearing. What's there to cover? There really isn't anything to cover. It was a very boring hearing, chat. April's attorney brought up a motion to dismiss. The judge says, yeah, based on what we know, nope, not covering it today. They've got enough information to go forward. It was interesting, I will say, and I'll bring this up tomorrow. The prosecutor in this case, Nick's prosecutor as well, she pointed out that the police found April in the master bedroom with the drugs, which is like, oof. So coked out of her gourd that when the cops are like, thump, 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 just taking that Dram and just, kadoosh. And you hear, police department, search warrant. She's like, well, what? She's taking a fucking hit off that crack rock. It's just, she's like, hey, the police. Yeah, it's not going to, I don't know how that's going to work for her. Oh, I thought they were in the kitchen. It doesn't sound like that according to the prosecutor. So, and guys, I know if Aaron's out there, tell him again, I apologize. We were busy trying to wrap this up over here, so didn't have time to get over there. If he's still going, I'll hang out with him. We could stream snipe Nick. Nick has to pay for a bond, that's all. Yeah, is he gonna float her to the 2Gs? Yeah, but you're right, Bob. Ultimately, nothing happened in it. Nothing happened in it. Yes, on a wall says the location is not secret, especially when it's blurred out, but we already know what it is. That was the funny part. What are her charges? Just the drug possession? Yeah. She has the lower level felony drug possession. I don't know if it's like the lowest felony drug possession charge, but it's pretty down low on the scale. So we'll find out. She's in the best shape of all of them. Of the three, she's in the best shape. I'm sure Nick and Caleb would love to be seeing the charges she's facing. And yes, it's Quover. Yes, it's Quover. Nick says he wants to refute all the stupid being said. Fuck. Nick, I know you're listening to this at some point where it's going to get to you. No. Don't do it. You are going to step on your dick. Do not do it. As much as it'll be hilarious, and the corn will harvest itself. Fire up the combines, chat. Don't do it, Nick. Don't fucking do it. Don't. I'm like General Mattis begging you, and I'm like when he's begging the people of Anbar, the Anbar tribal leaders. I'm begging you with tears in my eyes. I will fucking kill you if you don't cooperate with me. Please don't make me do this. Nick, don't do it. Seriously, don't fucking do it. Don't do it. Aaron ended a while ago. Oh. Nothing ever happens. Yeah, well, nothing. I mean, that's the thing. Yes, nothing ever does happen till something happens. Katie says, I don't like streaming you, but I don't think I will because of his reputation. I'm like, well, I mean, what exactly reputation do I have? April's low on the spectrum. Well, that could be many things. So I'm going to leave that one alone. SB Seller says, discuss Crook's fake trunk bombs. One leave from fireworks igniters and do anything. Who told him to do that? What the fuck are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about, Seller. Sorry. You're gonna please clarify with a regular chat. You don't have to send in a super chat, but please clarify. Because I do not understand. Instructions unclear. Lady Los Sanders says, did you see the Sandra Birchmore case in Massachusetts? Yes. Yep. We are working on that here right now. We just got done with Matthew Farwell's indictment. So yes, you just missed it. Just missed it. If you go back about 20 minutes, you'll see it. Actually, about 30 minutes now, probably. Devel says, can't the police come back tomorrow? I'm busy working on my stuff. Yes. Yes, that's... Oh, then Dagamore says, can they really charge everyone for all the drugs weight, or is it split across them? No. Think about it like this. I'll use this as an example. This is an example I always use with people. You get found with this. Multiple people can possess this at once, because possession doesn't mean you're just holding it. Like this pen or this highlighter here. Okay? Well, I shouldn't use that because it blends in with the shirt a little bit. Here, this guy. Right now, I'm possessing it. If I put it on the table, I'm still possessing it. If 2.0 walks in the room, you could argue she's possessing it because possession doesn't just mean physical holding of the item. It means you're exerting control and dominion over it. You have access to it. There's multiple ways you can establish possession. So, for example, if two people are possessing a gun, you don't get charged with half the gun. You all possess the gun. You possessed it. Like if I have it in my pocket and I hand it off to like me and Kurt are walking down the street and Nate the cop is Nate the cop, not Nate the lawyer, Nate the cop. Nate the cop's cruising by and I'm like, shit, Kurt, hold on to this. Hold this for me. And Kurt's holding down my piece. I still have control over it because it's my gun. And I could grab it from him if we see some some cholos come cruising by or some bloods come walking by and I gotta put in some work. Gotta get that gotta back up Crip Nation. And I gotta grab the switchy out and the glizzy with the switchy and go, eh. I still have control over it. So just like with drugs, you control the entirety of it. You don't control. If you could do it that way, people would take bigger weights of drugs and possess it amongst multiple people to break up the weight and the exposure. No, you control the entire package at that point. So yes, Dagamore, I hope that makes sense. And that's Shane got it right. Yes, they can all be charged with a joint possession. Yes. Do you think Karen Reed and Sandra Birchmore are connected? Other than the fact that there's really fucking corrupt police involved, no. That's the only connection is the police that were involved. That's the only thing here. I don't think there's anything else. Am I doing locals tonight? Probably not. Probably not. Pics were released of his trunk today. Of whose trunk? I don't know whose trunk are you talking about, Sellers. That's what I'm not sure. Like whose trunk? Oh, the guy. Oh, you want me to take a look at those? Okay, here. Okay, hold on. Okay, so that guy. Oh, Crooks, the guy, the Trump shooter. Let's see if we can see. Okay. So CNN says there's some picture. Let's see what we can find here. Okay. All right, we'll do this real quick. CNN saying, all right, so yeah, he used basic bitch setup there. He used some wiring. What is that picture more? No, I don't want that one. I want to see the picture of the device. That's not good enough for me to look at. Although, that's not bad. Oh, you can see where he took a hit, chat. Boom! Headshot right there. Look at that. Boom! Headshot. Monster kill. Kill. So those don't. I mean, I'm not a bomb expert, Chad. I'm not a. I mean, I have blown up things in my time. I am far from being a semi-pro explosives maker. I'm a very amateur one. But this just looks like fucking this looks fucking fake as shit to me. That doesn't mean I'd walk up to and start fucking with it. No. There ain't no way I'd be touching that stuff. I'd think that's all wired or booby trapped. I wouldn't touch it. That's a weird looking bottle. Yeah. So let's back up here and see if we can find I don't want to see the firearm. I want to see the bomb. Let's see bombs. All right, let's see if there's images we can find here. Nope. This would-be assassin's interest in violence went back to 2019. It's like, oh yeah, I could leave my interest with violence goes back farther than that. Let's see here. Bomb making materials. Here we go. No, that's too far back. Yeah, let's see what the New York Post has. What? No, I don't want your. You guys suck. Let's see USA Today. They got pictures. Continue to cite. Fuck your ad blocker. Yeah, he searched for detonating cord and blasting cap and how to make a bomb. How do you make where do you buy det cord? You're not buying it. Blasting caps. I mean, you could kind of make a blasting cap. You're probably going to blow your fucking hands off doing it, but you can kind of make blasting caps. And blasting caps are going to be the far most critical piece of as far as I can tell you, chat. You need blasting caps. Those are the critical piece of any decent improvised explosive device. It give you reliable detonations. Okay, yeah, I see, guys. There you go. I'm like a couple minutes behind. We're catching up now. Mapka said, I thought Cleveland was blood turf. I'm like, well, maybe we're walking in another neighborhood. Yeah. Kid Pat says, Crip Nation, huh? Sean reps Team Blue. Of course I do. Blue's my favorite color. You could probably get det cord on Amazon. No. Those are the 6-week cycle fake bombs. Yeah, you can easily make det cord. You can, but that is not okay, Brent. Somebody like Thomas Crooks would have killed himself making homemade det cord. Yes, and if you guys go on Carnicon, who's still alive, he's showing how to make like TNT and all kinds of other cool shit here on YouTube. But no, these don't look like very effective devices. Generic Chinese Amazon det cord. I mean, real det cord you could do a lot with. Det cord, if you guys don't understand what det cord is, detonation cord. Det cord is you use it to wire between explosives. So this is actually a great example of it. This is connected together. This is detonation cord, and you could have different colors of it. You wire together explosives with it, and you wire it into like the initiating charge. So like a blasting cap, or if you have a pull ring detonator, or you have any sort of electronic device that'll set everything off. That's how everything starts. And det cord is an explosive filled cord, and it shoots along and just boom. But it continues the explosion along, and then it'll hit the blasting cap stuck in an explosive. Sets that off, which sets the explosive off. And it's how you wire everything together. So if you ever watch Bugs Bunny movies where they're like spooling out things, that might have been wires back in the day. Nowadays, it used det cord. Detonation cord you can use on its own. It's an explosive. So, for example, you guys ever watched We Were Soldiers when they cut down all the trees at once? That's what they did. They ran detonation cord around all the trees, and then they blew it up and knocked it down. Yes, det cord is a very effective thing. Det cord has explosives in it, yes. Det cord can be used to clear mines. You could do a lot of things with det cord. ISIS used to make people wrap det cord around their neck, and then they blew their heads off. Det cord is pretty effective. It's a very versatile material. Can't use det cord to breach a door. To an extent, you can. If you read the Ranger Handbook and the Sapper Handbook, they will talk about how you could take like a shooting target, like an IPSC target, and you put det cord around it on a top and bottom taped together. You could blow a hole in a wall. Or you can put det cord on a piece of rubber and put it up on a door, and you can kind of blow doors open in a safer, less dangerous way. There's a lot of things you can do with det cord. Det cord is a lot of fun. So he was looking for explosives. Like, I've Googled it. Like, where can I buy deck cord? Could I buy it? I would need a federal explosives license. And here's actually a good, here is a, oh, this isn't going to work. This actually is not a good picture. But there's all kinds of stuff you can do with deck cord. So, if you guys do really want to know, you can go to Ordnance Lab on YouTube, and they talk about deck cord and all the fun stuff you can do there. Yes, if you're buying deck cord, you're doing one of two things: the military or mining operation, and that's a thing. Most deck cord, like the explosive manufacturers, will not sell to you, so don't worry anyway. It doesn't matter. But let me see if I can go back to see if I could find any pictures of this guy's thing, because those were not convinced. Like, yeah, that if that's the picture you're talking about, sellers, that is not impressive at all. Like, that is not a. This is a bigger picture. We could take a look here. No, Wikipedia, it's the same picture. Yeah, it's garbage. This is. I don't know what the hell he thinks this is, but none of that looks convincing to me. That is not a convincing bomb to me. This is not a convincing bomb. Bomb, 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 bomb. You can't say bomb at an airport. So, read my other super chat and compare it, Boomer. Okay, hold on here. So discuss the fake trunk bombs. One lead from a fireworks igniter doesn't do anything. Who told him to do that? I don't know. I mean, here's the other thing, though. Maybe somebody told him. Certainly somebody could have. But people also have dumb fuck ideas. They read all kinds of dumb shit on the internet, and they make things up as they go. There's a reason why people making bombs sometimes blow themselves up, because they're not following rules. Katie Kennedy is a new member. Thank you, Katie. EDW Raptor says possession is 9/10 of the law. Yes, in more ways than one. And then Sellers is saying, SB, you're saying again, the Trump assassin, the Trump pics released today. Alpha Fire 12 core tied to ammo boxes. Matches remote on the roof. Something wrong. Yeah, I just don't see. I mean, there's millions of ways you can structure an explosive device. Why would you use an ammo can to do that? That's not a very effective. You're not going to get a lot of fragmentation from that. I don't see the point of using the ammo can. You're better off making fucking pipe bombs if you're going to do that kind of shit. Or using a propane tank you can play with. Yes, electric blasting caps, deck cord is boomer tech. Shh. Now, ultimately, the FBI likely supplied him with this device. That's why it doesn't work. But Crook didn't know any better. Crooks didn't know any better because he's an idiot. But this is amateur hour, chat. Fuck, I'm like, I made stuff explode in high school, and I know this isn't gonna work well. There's better ways to make explosive weapons. Like taking a chain and wrapping it around it, and every 5 or 6 links, you take a hacksaw to the point where you can almost snap the link in half. So when the bomb goes off, there's links of chain just going like, whoa, 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 just whipping through the air, chopping people in half. I learned that from reading a book about the SEALs in Vietnam, and they would set up bombs with some of that stuff on them, just cutting people in half. And it'll cut a part of a tree in half. I've tried. The ammo boxes are designed to keep together in case the ammo explodes. Yeah, that's the other thing. A pressure cooker. Pressure cooker is another good one, as we learned from Boston. A pressure cooker is a free pressure-bearing vessel. Yes, or ball bearings. Ball bearings are good too. Ball bearings, nuts and bolts. Shredder says, wasn't the idea to distract? Yes. And with that, there was a distraction. Because Trump's detail immediately said, oh no, they thought they saw a device on their egress route. That's why they didn't leave right away. They had to clear another route because they thought something sussy was in the way. And then they went their normal route. They didn't break down and go down tertiary, secondary roads. Assuming Parallax View is a documentary, who was the real shooter? J-Rock says, ANFO and 55-gallon drum is a bitch, writer. Well, here's the problem with that, J-Rock. Remember, ANFO, you have to sensitize it with like heating oil or diesel fuel. And the other big problem is you need a booster charge. ANFO on its own will not detonate the way you need. It's very stable. You need a booster charge to get it going. So, Bush Sr. was on the grassy knoll. He very likely could have been. Or he knows who was. I'm treading in dangerous territory. No, I'm not. I mean, we can talk about, like, making... I thought that's how you pronounce it. ANFO. Yeah, ANFO. But yeah, we can talk about all kinds of stuff. It's academic discussion, chat. It's like I'm not telling you how to make TATP or something like that, or that you use like petroleum jelly to desensitize it and make it more stable. I mean, I didn't say anything like that. SB Seller says he only has one lead wire lead connected only to the red on the igniter. It requires 2 leads. The Google Alpha Fire, the TQL comparer, fed intentional with bad instruction. So in Alpha Fire 1.2 QL. An Alpha. Well, see, I don't know if there is a. The problem is, I don't know if there's another. I don't know if there's another wire hooked up. Oh, shit. Really? This is what he had? Oh, my God. Okay, so how do you know this is what he had? Because I didn't see anything about this yet. If he fucking had one of these, a 200 meter or 2,000 meter distributed wireless firing system, they claimed he had a remote detonator on his person. He got 100. I mean, where the hell is he spending $192 on a detonator unit? Which means he could have had a whole pack of devices. Huh. This definitely isn't a fucking glowy website. This isn't a glowy website. That remote's on the roof. I don't remember seeing it. But this is not sussy as fuck. This is not sussy. I'm just saying something doesn't seem right. Huh. That gets the noggin jogging. Yeah. You hope I'm using a VPN, buddy? Oh, honey. This is far from the worst thing I've ever done or looked at. I've looked at some stuff that's probably put me on list everywhere. You know, if you get onto some of those for a while there, when you get Google to translate was on some of those Arabic Muslim terrorist foreign website message boards, you could translate bomb making instructions. Just saying, between us girls. So he had up to 12 devices out there. Yeah, this is a FedTrap website. But if it's meant to be for fireworks, I guess. But yeah, this is what he had sitting there. This is what he had. Because this is one of them. This is one of them close up. That looks like in the picture. So it looks like you only had one of the wires going in. So you got your positive and negative. So you got one going in here. You got one going in there. Huh. Interesting. It's recipe sharing night. Yes. I'm out here singing, by God, we'll have our home again. Yes. By blood or sweat, we'll get there yet. By God, we'll have our home. At you on Twitter with the roof photo. Okay, hold on here. We'll take a look at the roof photo. As long as I can't see his skull opened up on there, we'll take a look at it. Let's see. Oh, shit. Okay. Provided by Lance. Thank you, Lance. Ah, yep, that's the detonator. That's the detonator. Although, why? He's got a 9-volt battery. Just kick it. What the fuck is this guy doing? Why is this amateur hour? Why is this amateur hour? Why is this amateur hour? Kimbo says, I'm going to activate it by accident and I have to leave. Yeah, you're saying, I guess this kid doesn't know anything about a car battery. Yeah. This is interesting. The battery fell out. He's messing with the TV remote. Yeah, but why would that need? Hold on here. The remote uses the 9-volt. The uniters use. Why would you need 9? Well, I guess if you need. Hold on. Yeah, if you 2,000 meter distributed wires firing, I guess you would need for this guy. I could. I don't know. I would rather run them on like 8 AA's than a 9-volt. That just seems like it'd be easier. Like a 9-volt battery. It's like, other than smoke detectors, what else uses 9-volt batteries anymore? I'm just saying. Like, that just seems goofy. Oh. Chat, we should do this one night. DIY components. I get a soldering iron. We can do soldering with Sean. We can wire up all kinds of shit. This would be like so much fun. There we go. I don't know. I can learn electronics enough. We can have a fun build night. We can have a build night, chat. Oh. Oh no. Oh. Yeah, 9-volt is for the battery type. I understand. I wonder if the feds had removed the battery from the box. They might have at that point. But remember, chat, the Pennsylvania State Police had their signal jammer running because the Secret Service did not have one. As they should have. Make lantern batteries great again. Yes. You can refloat NES cartridge solderings. Oh. Do this for the next Lego group stream. Yeah. What are you working on, Sean? I'm working on an IED circuit board. Abel says, can I give you a list of candy to go buy at Radio Shack? No, because Radio Shack doesn't sell that shit anymore. Radio Shack hasn't sold stuff like that in a long time. You're going to have to go to a radio supply store, buy stuff online. So, you're going to have to go to like a hardware store and buy stuff. But Radio Shack doesn't do that no more. Sorry. The Verbaldo takes 9 volts. Yeah. Hold on one sec. What's up? Radio Shack, I'm pretty sure, still exists. I mean, I saw one like in the last couple of years. Yeah, Radio Shack's still alive. Yeah. They don't really have shit anymore. Like, Radio Shack is a joke now. It's like Best Buy. So Radio Shack is coming back. No. The Four Seasons by Rivaldo. That's funny. You're a funny guy, chat. You're saying it doesn't matter. He was taught to hook it up wrong is my point. I get no. I get what you're saying. You don't discover those and not understand how they work. Read the half-page manual. Yeah, but I mean, how did he not fucking, yeah. Job well done says Secret Service wasn't running a Stingray. A Stingray is not a signal jammer. A Stingray is a cell phone spoofer that fakes a cell tower and makes you hook up to it so they can get your cell data and then they can wiretap you. That's not a signal jammer. When I'm talking about a jammer, I'm talking about like an IED jammer. Like, you've ever seen the pictures of the guys even now in Ukraine or in Iraq or Afghanistan wearing like those big backpacks with the antennas sticking off of them. You know, some of those guys are radio dudes, but a lot of those guys were carrying IED jammers, and they make vehicle mounted ones that are even stronger that cover a wide area and will basically obstruct signals from entering an area by jamming it. Anubis says if he was a rocket scientist, he wouldn't be a criminal. Yeah, but it doesn't take much to be halfway fucking. Like, here's the thing, guys. It doesn't take much to be really fucking dangerous. It doesn't take much knowledge. And then Keopathic says, I found a place that's selling a civilian M249, meaning the semi-auto version, if you weren't aware. I can handle the cost, but all that wants is making me hesitate. Yes or no? Well, I mean, if you can handle it, go for it. I mean, why not? I mean, buy a box of links and have fun. Get one of those big 200-round plastic mags for it. Those are always pretty cool. That's a cool aesthetic. But yeah, go for it. I mean, if you can afford it, do it. I mean, you could sell it and probably get your money back if you don't like it after a while. I don't think they're going down in value. And even if you had to take like a little bit of a haircut, it won't be too bad. You can just undercut a gun store. So I'd go for it. If you can afford it, do it. Yeah, you guys are pointing out Radio Shack sucks. Yes, he was no Teddy Kaczynski, though, yes. Sean over here hoping for a better class of criminals. I mean, a little bit. Scarebro says the Seethe stream is incoming, yes. Meat Candy says the jammers throw out massive amounts of high wattage signals across wide bands, overwhelm transmissions. There are guys out there in the military that are sterile because they sat next to jammers for long patrols. Very true. I've seen pictures, like my friends have told me, like, they've shown me pictures of, like, yeah, this guy carried our jammer all the time and his hair turned white. Like, he had brown hair and he had like a white streak running through it because he carried the jammer all around. And like some of these guys, you know, when they were carrying him, like, is this going to cause me cancer? And the government says, just carry it. So I'm surprised those guys aren't getting sick from it. Sean, do I see Brandon here replicating some of these bombs? No, but there's a better YouTube channel than that if you want to learn about explosives. Like, if you want to learn some cool shit, like how to make a shape charge out of a wine bottle that you can cut through steel with, there's a far better YouTube channel. And it's here, Ordnance Lab. And these are some dudes down in Tejas who are fucking crazy. They show you all kinds of stuff, and YouTube lets them do it. So they talk about making a soda bottle explosive charge, shape charge that cuts through steel. They talk about making primitive grenades. They even explain, just so you understand what it's like when they're running their thing, like wire pipe bombs and Molotov cocktails. You know, how are they legal? How can you do them? They'll also, like, they made like the nail bomb. They kind of do all kinds of stuff. They make the explosive garden gnomes. They, have made like different kinds of. They work with people doing 3D printed explosive rockets. They made a martini glass as a shape charge that blew a hole in that steel. They blew up a lawnmower with tannerite just so you can see how bad it is. They've set off thermite grenades. They do all kinds of stuff here. They do improvised thermobaric weapons. They talk about deck cord. They made a shoe bomb, like that guy who, the shoe bomber. They tried to replicate it. They also do, what's one of the cool ones they've done? They make a bottle cap mine like out of Fallout. Then they were doing, because they were using them in Syria, like just basically pipes where they were shooting out improvised like mortar rounds. It's called a hell cannon. They also do what's the other cool thing they were using? Like they do all kinds, like they take a cannon and shoot grenades with it. So these guys do a lot of cool shit. They thermite engines. They do a lot so you can understand how this stuff works. If you ever want to know, they show you why you don't make TATP, why it's dangerous as hell. They make a reusable Molotov cocktail. They make a self-igniting Molotov. They made a rifle. They did rifle grenades at one point. They've done all kinds of cool stuff. All kinds of cool shit. So, place if you want a really good place. Brandon Herrera legally can't do a lot of that stuff. These guys can. So, something to think about. Yeah, Kentucky Ballistics is a good channel too. Don't make these guys bombs, okay? Oh. Here's how not to make this thing. Yes. Brandon doesn't have that license. No, he doesn't. That requires a federal explosives license, among other things. And they don't have one. Brandon doesn't have one of those. That's actually a bitch to get, because to shoot the RPG, I might actually need to get one, and I don't might not be able to do it because I don't have a place to put an explosives locker. Because using a destructive device in black powder doesn't go well. Base Shaman says, take a look at Good Logic stream. All right, we'll take a look at our boy Joe. All right, let's see what's going on. All right. Oh, well. Oh, Joe's talking about. It's Joe reviewing Kurt. It's not actually him dealing with Kurt. So no, that's not really interesting. If he's sweeping, I mean, whatever. He can do what he does. Brandon Rockwell says maybe he does. Brandon's fired his RPG several times. It's like 1,500 per round. Yeah, or maybe he works with somebody who does. So I don't know. Scarebro says Joe ultimately had to concede to Nate and Kurt. Like, concede what? That this is not like what, the Nick's emotions all garbage? Yeah. I mean, but don't worry. Nick is going to set us all straight tonight because he's right. J-Rock says, how do I make a Fab 500? I don't know about that. You're going to have to go buy one in Russia. Brandon had to get someone to make the RPG rounds and come to the range. He doesn't have the license himself. Okay. Sean just said he might have to get the license to fire his RPG. Yeah. Because even if I were to shoot just something like this here, just the dummy rocket, just this thing, a dummy rocket out of it. And this doesn't have anything in it. It would just go, it'd be like chucking a football and it would just go thump. I would probably need a federal explosives license just to play around with that. Kurt's in Joe's chat. Oh, okay. Mount Rizzo says I'll end up as a Twitter video. No, I won't. It'll be safe because I'm not going to do anything crazy with it. Brooke says, how long until we make guidance kits for what? What are we making guidance kits for? Kurt is in everyone's chat, not in mine. Kurt's not in my chat. So, all right, guys, that is it. 2.5 hours we've done. So Karen Reed is getting sued. I don't like it's a garbage lawsuit. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. I think it's more meant to try to shake down for money and also try to help fuck things up in her case, because I'm sure Paul O'Keefe is very, 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 very mad. Yeah. So the FBI will not get on my door. They haven't yet. Johan saying, if you seriously want to solder, let me know. I might at some point. And then, guys, yes, the Sandra Birchmore, it sounds like somebody's finally being held accountable, and I assume this is the beginning of the feds making their move on all these scumbags down in Norfolk County. So that's the good thing we can hope there can be there. Yes, and the high-speed ballistic guys had an RPG explode. Yes, they did. That was more of a failure of the booster break. That they broke it down, and there's been an explanation, and I agree with the explanation. They suffered a catastrophic failure with the rocket system and the booster system. So, are we going to snipe on locals? No, because it's going to be a long night, chat. Got a long day tomorrow. So, sorry. No, we're not doing that. So, guys, that's it for tonight. Like I said, Karen Reed is getting harassed with the lawsuit. Hopefully, Sandra Birchmore, there's going to be a little bit of justice for her. And hopefully it's the beginning of the end of Karen Reed's prosecution as these scumbag cops are wrapped up one by one by one. You know, the gears of justice do turn. And they do grind slowly, but they do grind.
Weapons, blacksmithing, and models of planes, esoteric works, and even some trains. Much merriment had while drinking White Claws, tips on hunting, and even talking the law. Whatever you do, just don't talk to cops, even when they nab you on illegal stops. Just 'cause you did it doesn't mean you're guilty. But please talk to a local attorney. Was that the fat guy Rick Hayden yelled at? Why, yes, it was.